Jennifer's heart stopped as Woo-jin pressed her against the cold marble wall, his hand trembling near her face. Just one night, he whispered, voice breaking with raw desperation. That's all I'm asking. Please. The most feared man in Seoul was begging her, a maid, and the world tilted on its axis. His dark eyes burned with something dangerous, something that made her knees weak. She knew she should run, knew this was wrong in every possible way. But when he leaned closer, the heat between them became unbearable. Welcome to Black and Soul TV. Please like, share, and subscribe. For months earlier, Jennifer stepped off the plane at Incheon Airport with a single suitcase and a work visa that had taken 6 months to secure. Seoul sprawled before her, glittering and foreign, nothing like Lagos. The employment agency had been clear. Domestic position for a wealthy family. Excellent pay, private quarters, discretion required. They hadn't mentioned the employer's name until she'd already signed the contract. Woo-jin. She'd looked him up that night in her cramped hostel room and felt ice slide down her spine. 32 years old. Youngest head of the Biko syndicate in 50 years. Controlled shipping ports, underground gambling, half the nightclubs in Gangnam. The articles called him ruthless. The photos showed a man carved from stone, handsome in a way that looked dangerous, eyes that revealed nothing. Jennifer had stared at those photos for hours, memorizing every detail. This was the man who would control her daily existence. This was the man she'd have to stay invisible around. Her first morning at the penthouse, Jennifer arrived at dawn. The building was exclusive, security tight, the kind of place where money whispered instead of shouted. The elevator rose silently to the top floor. When the doors opened, her breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Han River. White marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Everything was pristine, cold, perfect. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like a museum. A woman in her 50s appeared, expression stern. Mrs. Kong, the head housekeeper. She looked Jennifer up and down with obvious disapproval. You're the new girl. Yes, ma'am. Jennifer bowed deeply. Rule 1, don't speak unless spoken to. Rule 2, stay out of Mr. M's way. Rule 3, what you see and hear in this house stays in this house. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Good. Your quarters are here. Mrs. Kong led her to a small room off the kitchen, barely larger than a closet, but clean. You start at 6. Mr. M takes his coffee at 7. The first week, Jennifer didn't see him at all. She learned his patterns from the traces he left behind. Coffee cup in the sink at dawn, suit jacket draped over a chair, the faint scent of expensive cologne lingering in hallways. He was a ghost, and she was grateful. But on the 8th day, everything changed. Jennifer was in the kitchen preparing breakfast when she felt eyes on her back. She turned slowly and froze. Woo-jin stood in the doorway, and the photos hadn't done him justice. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that looked custom-made. His dark hair was styled back, revealing a face that was almost too perfect except for a small scar above his left eyebrow. But it was his eyes that trapped her. Dark, intense, burning with intelligence and something else she couldn't name. They studied her with unnerving focus. You're the new staff, he said, voice deep and smooth. Jennifer bowed quickly, heart hammering. Yes, sir. I'm Jennifer. He moved into the kitchen with predatory grace, and she fought the urge to step back. How long have you been in Seoul? 2 weeks, sir. Your Korean is good. Thank you, sir. I studied before arriving. He poured himself coffee, movements precise and controlled. Why Seoul? Why this job? The question caught her off guard. The agency said it was an excellent opportunity. He studied her over the rim of his cup. That's not an answer. Jennifer met his gaze despite her nerves. I needed a fresh start. Seoul seemed far enough. From what? Everything, she said honestly. Something flickered in his expression, gone too quickly to identify. I understand that feeling. Then he left, and Jennifer realized she'd been holding her breath. After that morning, Woo-jin started appearing more often. Not intrusively, just present. He'd work at the kitchen island while she prepared meals. Sit in the living room reading while she cleaned. She felt his attention like a physical weight, but he never spoke beyond basic pleasantries. It should have been uncomfortable. Instead, it felt like being seen for the first time in years. 3 weeks in, Jennifer's carefully constructed walls began cracking. It started with small things. She'd hum while cooking, and he'd ask what song it was. She'd arrange flowers, and he'd comment on the colors. Once, she found him staring at a photograph on his desk, expression so devastated it made her chest ache. Are you all right? She'd asked before thinking. He'd looked up, startled, then smiled sadly. No, but thank you for asking. No one else does. That night, Jennifer lay awake thinking about that smile. Wu Jin wasn't what she'd expected. Yes, he was intimidating, powerful, clearly dangerous. But there was loneliness in him that called to her own. She recognized it instantly, the feeling of being surrounded by people but utterly alone. It was foolish to feel connected to him. Dangerous even. But she couldn't help it. The fourth week brought Park Jae-hun. He arrived unannounced one afternoon, all charm and expensive cologne. Jennifer was serving tea when his eyes locked onto her with predatory interest. Well, he said in perfect English. Wu Jin didn't mention his new staff was so beautiful. Jennifer kept her expression neutral. Thank you, sir. Would you like cream? Oh, I'd like much more than that. His grin was sharp. That's enough, Jae-hun. Wu Jin's voice cut through the room like a blade. Jennifer glanced up and froze at his expression. His jaw was clenched, eyes cold with barely contained fury. She's staff, Wu Jin continued. Show some respect. Jae-hun raised his hands, laughing. Relax, brother. Just appreciating the view. Find something else to appreciate. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. After Jae-hun left, tension crackled in the air. Jennifer cleaned up silently, hyper-aware of Wu Jin watching her. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. I can handle inappropriate comments, she said quietly. I'm not that fragile. That's not the point. He stepped closer. You shouldn't have to handle them. She turned to face him. Why do you care? The question seemed to surprise him. He studied her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. I don't know, he admitted. But I do. The confession hung between them, heavy with implications. Jennifer's pulse raced as he moved closer still, close enough that she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. This is inappropriate, she whispered. I know, he said. You're my employer. I know. We should maintain boundaries. We should. But neither moved away. His hand lifted slowly, hovering near her cheek without touching. Tell me you don't feel this, he said quietly. Tell me I'm imagining it. Jennifer opened her mouth to lie, but the words wouldn't come. She felt it. God help her. She felt it in every nerve, every breath, every rapid beat of her heart. The way he looked at her made her feel like she was the only real thing in his world. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Before she could respond, his phone rang. The spell shattered. Wu Jin stepped back, jaw tight as he answered in rapid Korean. When he hung up, his mask was back in place. I have to go. Business. He paused at the door. We'll talk later. But they didn't. For 3 days, Wu Jin avoided her completely. Jennifer told herself it was for the best, that whatever was building between them needed to stop. But at night, lying in her narrow bed, she couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd looked at her. The hunger in his eyes, the trembling in his hand. On the 4th day, everything exploded. Jennifer was in the library dusting shelves when she found it. A photograph, hidden behind books. Wu Jin kneeling before a beautiful woman in a hospital bed, holding her hand while she smiled weakly at the camera. Jennifer's heart clenched. His wife. The one the articles mentioned briefly. Dead 3 years from cancer. She replaced the photo carefully, but not carefully enough. Looking at my ghosts? His voice made her jump. Wu Jin stood in the doorway, expression unreadable. I'm sorry, I wasn't snooping. I know. He entered the library, movements slow and deliberate. Her name was Sua. Our marriage was arranged, but I tried to make her happy. When she got sick, I would have given anything to save her. Jennifer's throat tightened. I'm sorry for your loss. Will Jennifer mend his broken heart? Fill up the empty space in his heart? Will he finally experience what true love is? Hit that subscribe button. Let's find out. Are you? He stopped in front of her. Or are you wondering why I'm still haunted by a woman I didn't love? The bitterness in his voice made her ache. You don't have to love someone to grieve them. He laughed once, sharp and humorless. Wise words. But grief isn't what haunts me, Jennifer. Guilt does. She waited, sensing he needed to say this. I couldn't save her. I had all the power, all the money, and I couldn't do the one thing that mattered. You're not God, Jennifer said softly. Some things are beyond anyone's control. His eyes met hers, raw and vulnerable. I haven't felt anything real since she died. I've been going through motions, playing a role, existing but not living. Until you walked into my kitchen and asked if this place felt like home. Something in me woke up that day, and now I can't make it go back to sleep. The confession stripped away every defense Jennifer had built. She stepped closer without thinking. Maybe it's not supposed to go back to sleep. Maybe you're allowed to feel again. His hand finally touched her face, palm warm against her cheek. You make me want things I have no right to want. Like what? You, he breathed. Every moment of every day, I want you. Jennifer's world tilted. She should step back, remind him of boundaries, protect them both. But she'd been alone for so long, and the way he looked at her made her feel alive. When he leaned in, she didn't stop him. His kiss was soft at first, tentative, like he expected her to pull away. Instead, she melted into it, hands gripping his shirt as weeks of tension ignited. They broke apart, breathing hard. That was, she started. A mistake? He finished, voice rough. She met his eyes. I was going to say inevitable. Something fierce and possessive flashed across his face. He kissed her again, deeper this time, backing her against the bookshelf. Jennifer's head spun. This was insane, impossible, everything she'd told herself couldn't happen. But his hands were gentle despite their strength, and when he whispered her name like a prayer, she was lost. Suddenly, the penthouse door slammed. Wu Jin pulled back instantly, body going rigid. Stay here, he ordered quietly, then disappeared. Jennifer stood there trembling, lips swollen, heart racing. What had she just done? Voices echoed from the main room, speaking rapid Korean. She couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. Anger, threats, danger. Minutes stretched like hours. Then Wu Jin returned, expression dark. You need to leave. What? His hands gripped her shoulders. Listen carefully. Pack your things. There's a car waiting downstairs. The driver will take you somewhere safe. Fear spiked through her confusion. What's happening? That doesn't matter. What matters is getting you out before. He stopped, jaw clenching. Before what? She demanded. Before they use you against me. The words hit like ice water. Jennifer understood instantly. Whoever those men were, they'd seen her. Marked her as important to Wu Jin. Made her a target. No, she said firmly. I'm not running. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do. She grabbed his arms. We face this together, or I'm not going anywhere. His eyes flashed dangerously. Jennifer, this isn't a game. People in my world don't make threats. They act. If they take you, I can't. He stopped, and Jennifer saw real fear in his expression. Can't what? She whispered. Can't survive losing someone else I care about, he admitted. Please, just go. Stay safe. Let me handle this. She cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. I'm not her. I'm not fragile or helpless. If there's danger, face it with me at your side. Don't push me away to protect me. That's not protection. It's abandonment. Something broke in his expression. He pulled her close, holding her like she might disappear. You're going to be the death of me. Or your salvation, she countered. His laugh was shaky. How did you do this? Do what? Make me care this much this fast. Jennifer smiled against his chest. Same way you did it to me. Magic. The moment shattered as his phone rang. His expression darkened as he answered, listened, then hung up. They're giving me 24 hours. For what? To cut ties with you. Or they'll do it for me. Jennifer's blood ran cold. What does that mean? It means, he said grimly, that I have until tomorrow night to prove you mean nothing to me. Or they'll kill you to make a point. Will Wu Jin risk his empire to save a maid? Will he break? Was she worth burning down soul for? Hit that subscribe button if you know the answer. The world seemed to stop. Jennifer stared at him, processing. So what do we do? His eyes were hard. I send you away tonight. Make it public that I fired you for theft. Destroy your reputation so thoroughly that killing you would be pointless. You'd be safe. And you'd hate yourself forever, she said quietly. This is survival. This is cowardice. His jaw clenched. I'm trying to save your life. At what cost? She challenged. Your humanity? The part of you that's finally feeling again. She stepped closer. I'd rather die standing beside you than live knowing I made you become the monster everyone thinks you are. That's not your choice to make. Yes, it is, she said fiercely. You don't get to decide my fate alone. If we're in this, we're in it together. Equal partners, or nothing. Wu Jin stared at her like she was insane. Then slowly, impossibly, he smiled. It was small, sad, but real. You're either the bravest woman I've ever met, or the most foolish. Maybe both. Can you live with that? He pulled her close again, resting his forehead against hers. I don't think I can live without it anymore. So what's the plan? She asked. We fight, he said simply. And if we lose? Then we lose together. The next 18 hours were a blur. Wu Jin made calls, moved pieces on a chessboard Jennifer couldn't fully see. She stayed close, refusing to hide despite his repeated attempts to send her away. When evening came, he dressed in a black suit that made him look every inch the dangerous man he was. You don't have to come, he said for the 10th time. Yes, I do. He studied her face, then handed her something. A small phone, encrypted. If anything happens, if we get separated, you press 1. It'll bring help. Jennifer took it with shaking hands. Where are we going? To meet the families, he said. To make them understand that you're not a weakness. You're my strength. And if they don't understand? His eyes were dark. Then things get messy. The meeting place was a traditional Korean restaurant, private room in the back. 5 men sat waiting, faces hard with judgment. Woo-jin entered with Jennifer at his side, his hand resting possessively on her lower back. The message was clear. She belongs to me. The eldest spoke first in Korean, then switched to English for Jennifer's benefit. You were told to remove the distraction. She's not a distraction, Woo-jin said calmly. She's mine, and I don't dispose of what's mine for anyone. Another man leaned forward. You're letting emotion cloud judgment. That makes you weak. No, Woo-jin countered. Pretending I feel nothing makes me hollow. I've been hollow for 3 years. I'm done with that existence. Jennifer felt every eye on her, assessing her worth, measuring if she was worth the disruption. This woman, the eldest said, has no place in our world. Then perhaps, Jennifer said before Woo-jin could respond, your world needs to change. Silence fell. She continued, voice steady despite her racing heart. You judge me for being an outsider, for not understanding your ways. But maybe that's exactly what Woo-jin needs. Someone who sees him as a man, not just a position. Someone who reminds him why the power matters. To protect people, not just control them. The eldest's eyes narrowed. You speak boldly for someone in such a precarious position. Because I have nothing left to lose, Jennifer said. You'll either accept that I'm part of his life, or you'll kill me. But either way, I'm not cowering. Woo-jin's hand tightened on her back, whether in warning or support, she couldn't tell. Minutes stretched like hours. Then the eldest smiled, cold and calculating. You have fire. I respect that. But respect doesn't mean acceptance. He looked at Woo-jin. You have 1 month. Prove she makes you stronger, not weaker. Prove she can survive in our world. If you can't, she goes. One way or another. Understood, Woo-jin said tightly. They left in tense silence. In the car, Jennifer finally exhaled. We bought time. Barely, he said. 1 month to prove you belong. How do we do that? His expression was grim. By making you untouchable. By showing them you're not just mine, but essential. She turned to face him. And if we can't? Then we run, he said quietly. I'll give up everything. The organization, the power, all of it. We disappear somewhere they can't touch us. You do that? Jennifer whispered. For you? His eyes met hers with devastating intensity. I'd burn it all down. The admission stole her breath. Before she could respond, the car exploded with gunfire. Glass shattered. Woo-jin threw himself over Jennifer, shielding her with his body as bullets tore through metal. The driver swerved violently. More gunfire. Shouting in Korean. Then silence. Are you hurt? Woo-jin demanded, checking her frantically. Jennifer shook her head, ears ringing. The driver was slumped forward, blood spreading across his shirt. Woo-jin cursed, pulling out his phone. We need to move. Now. They ran through dark streets, Woo-jin gripping her hand tightly. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Shouts. They weren't safe. He pulled her into an alley, pressing her against the wall while he assessed their options. His face was inches from hers, both breathing hard. I'm sorry, he said. I should have protected you better. You saved my life, she countered. That's protection enough. His expression softened for a brief moment before hardening again. We can't go back to the penthouse. It's compromised. Where then? He hesitated. Somewhere no one knows about. Somewhere I've kept hidden for years. Will we be safe there? As safe as we can be, he said. Jennifer nodded. Then take me there. They moved through Seoul's shadows like ghosts, avoiding main streets. Finally, they reached a modest apartment building in an unremarkable neighborhood. Woo-jin led her to the 3rd floor, unlocking a door to reveal a small but clean apartment. This was my grandmother's, he explained. She died 5 years ago. I've kept it exactly as she left it because it's the only place that ever felt like home. Jennifer looked around at the lived-in space, so different from the sterile penthouse. It's perfect. He locked the door, then finally let his guard drop. His hands were shaking. I almost lost you. But you didn't, she said, moving to him. We're alive. We're together. That's what matters. He pulled her close, holding her so tightly it almost hurt. I can't do this, he said against her hair. Can't do what? Can't lose you. Can't pretend you're just anyone. Can't keep my distance anymore. His confession unraveled something inside her. Then don't, she whispered. Don't keep your distance. Don't pretend. Just be with me. Be real. He pulled back to look at her, eyes dark with emotion. If we do this, there's no going back. I don't want to go back. Are you sure? Because once you're mine, truly mine, I won't let you go. I'll fight heaven and hell to keep you. Jennifer reached up, cupping his face. Then fight. Because I'm not going anywhere. The kiss was different this time. Not tentative or stolen, but claiming. A promise sealed with breath and touch. Wu Jin lifted her easily, carrying her to the bedroom. What they shared that night was raw and desperate. Two people choosing each other despite impossible odds. When it was over, they lay tangled together, hearts racing in sync. I love you, Wu Jin said into the darkness. I know it's too soon, too fast, too everything. But I do. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. They fell asleep holding each other, temporarily safe in their hidden sanctuary. But morning brought harsh reality. Wu Jin's phone rang incessantly. When he finally answered, his expression went cold. What is it? Jennifer asked when he hung up. They've taken Mrs. Kong, the housekeeper who'd trained Jennifer. They're using her as leverage. For what? To draw us out. They know we'll come for her. It's a trap. Wu Jin's jaw clenched. But I can't leave her to die because of me. So what do we do? He looked at her with fierce determination. We spring the trap. Together. But we do it smart. Jennifer nodded. Tell me the plan. What followed was a careful ballet of strategy. Wu Jin called in every favor, positioned his most loyal men, planned for every contingency. At midnight, they moved. The warehouse on the docks was predictably full of enemies. But Wu Jin had planned for that. His men struck from multiple angles while he and Jennifer entered through a side entrance. They found Mrs. Kong tied to a chair, beaten but alive. Jennifer rushed to her while Wu Jin covered them. We're getting you out, Jennifer whispered, cutting the bonds. Mrs. Kong gripped her hand. You shouldn't have come. It's what family does, Jennifer said. The older woman's eyes filled with tears. Movement exploded around them. Gunfire erupted. Wu Jin returned fire with cold precision, protecting them with his body. Get her out, he shouted to Jennifer. The side exit. Now. But, no arguments. Go. Jennifer hesitated for one agonizing second, then helped Mrs. Kong toward the exit. Behind them, the battle raged. She couldn't leave him. Couldn't walk away while he fought alone. She got Mrs. Kong to safety, then turned back. No, Mrs. Kong grabbed her arm. He told you to go. And I told him we're in this together, Jennifer said. She ran back into chaos. Found Wu Jin cornered, outnumbered. Without thinking, she grabbed a metal pipe and swung hard at his nearest attacker. The man went down. Wu Jin spun, shock crossing his face. I told you to leave. You don't get to make decisions for me anymore, she said. We're partners, remember? Something blazed in his eyes. He grabbed her hand. Run. Together, they fought their way out. His men were winning, but barely. They made it to the car, speeding away as sirens wailed in the distance. Back at the apartment, Wu Jin rounded on her. You could have died. So could you, Jennifer shot back. That's different. Why? Because I'm used to it? Because I'm the man and you're the woman? Because this is my world and you're just visiting? Her words hit hard. He stopped, jaw working. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She demanded. That you'd rather I stayed safe and abandoned you? That's not partnership. That's a cage. He stared at her, then suddenly laughed. It was rough, but genuine. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm an idiot. She smiled slightly. Yes, you are. He pulled her close. Don't ever change. Don't ever let me make you less than you are. I won't, she promised. They kissed, sealing the promise. But the battle wasn't over. The next morning brought devastating news. The families had called an emergency council. Wu Jin was to appear alone, or they'd assume he'd gone rogue. If he didn't show, they'd declare war. And Jennifer? He couldn't bring her. She'd be killed on sight after the warehouse incident. This is it, isn't it? Jennifer said quietly. The end of the month early. He nodded grimly. They're forcing my hand. Make me choose between the organization and you. His expression was resolute. There's no choice. I choose you. We disappear tonight. Start over somewhere new. But Jennifer saw the pain in his eyes, knew what it would cost him to walk away from everything he'd built. She couldn't let him do that. What if there's another way? She asked slowly. He looked at her warily. What way? What if I prove myself? Alone? No. Hear me out. She grabbed his hands. The families respect strength. What if I walk into that council meeting and make them see that I'm not a weakness? That I'm an asset? Absolutely not, Wu Jin said flatly. It's suicide. Maybe, Jennifer admitted. Or maybe it's the only way we both get what we want. They argued for hours. Finally, Exhausted, Wu Jin pulled her close. I can't lose you. You won't, she said. Trust me. Do you trust me? His eyes searched hers. With my life. Then let me do this. Let me fight for us the way you've been fighting. The silence stretched. Finally, he nodded. But I'm coming too. And if anything goes wrong, we leave together. Agreed. The council room was tense. Jennifer walked in wearing a simple black dress, head high despite her racing heart. The 5 family heads watched her approach with cold calculation. Wu Jin stood to the side, every muscle coiled tight. The eldest spoke. Wu Jin has chosen to defy our orders. You were to be removed. Yet here you stand. Jennifer met his gaze without flinching. I stand here because I belong. You think you belong in our world? She smiled slightly. No. I think your world needs people like me. People who remind you that power without purpose is just tyranny. Bold words from someone so vulnerable. I'm not as vulnerable as you think. She'd prepared for this, spent days studying their operations through Wu Jin's files. I know your businesses, your weaknesses, your enemies. I know Park Minjun is embezzling from the eastern ports. I know Choi Sang-woo's daughter is addicted to painkillers, a secret he'd kill to keep hidden. I know the Japanese syndicate is planning a move against your shipping routes in 6 weeks. The room erupted. How dare you? Information is power, Jennifer continued calmly. And I've made it my business to gather information. Not to use against you, but to prove I can be useful. That I can be an asset instead of a liability. The eldest leaned forward. And if we still want you gone, then you'll have to kill me, she said simply. Because I'm not leaving. I love Wu Jin, and he loves me. That's not a weakness. It's the foundation of real loyalty. Something your organization seems to have forgotten. Minutes ticked by in heavy silence. Then the eldest smiled, cold and sharp. You have nerve, I'll give you that. But nerve isn't enough. Prove you can survive. Prove you can be ruthless when necessary. Kill the rat. He gestured, and guards dragged in a man Jennifer recognized from the penthouse. One of Wu Jin's own men, revealed as a spy. Here's your test. Execute him, and we'll consider your worth. Jennifer's blood ran cold. She looked at Wu Jin, saw the horror in his eyes. This was the line. Cross it, and she'd prove she could be part of their world. Refuse, and they'd kill her where she stood. Her hand shook as she stepped forward. The man was crying, begging in Korean. She didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. Mercy. She took the gun offered to her, raised it with trembling hands, and couldn't do it. I won't, she said quietly. Then you fail, the eldest said. No. She lowered the gun. I won't kill in cold blood to prove I'm ruthless. That's not strength. That's becoming the monster. If you want me dead for that, fine. But I won't lose my soul for your approval. The silence was deafening. Then Wu Jin spoke, voice hard. If you touch her, you go through me. I'll burn this entire organization to ash before I let you harm her. Every family head tensed. This was the moment. War or peace. Life or death. Then the eldest did something unexpected. He laughed. It was genuine, almost pleased. You pass. Jennifer blinked in confusion. What? We don't need another killer, the eldest said. We have plenty of those. What we need is someone with a conscience. Someone who reminds our leader that he's human. You could have pulled that trigger to save yourself. Instead, you chose integrity. That's rare. That's valuable. So I can stay? You can stay, he confirmed. But know this. You are now part of this family. That means its enemies are your enemies. Its battles are your battles. Can you accept that? Jennifer looked at Wu Jin. His expression was a mixture of relief, pride, and fear. She turned back to the families. I can. Then it's settled. The eldest stood. Wu Jin, your judgment in this matter has been proven sound. The council supports your union. But both of you remember, with acceptance comes responsibility. Failure will not be tolerated. Understood, Wu Jin said firmly. They left the council in stunned silence. Outside, Wu Jin pulled Jennifer into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. Don't ever scare me like that again. I thought. I know, she whispered. But we did it. We won. He pulled back to look at her face. You're incredible. You know that. Completely insane, but incredible. She smiled. I learned from the best. The next weeks blurred together in a whirlwind of change. Jennifer moved officially into the penthouse, no longer as staff, but as Wu Jin's partner. The organization slowly accepted her presence. She proved herself useful, using her outsider perspective to see problems differently, to suggest solutions others missed. And slowly, grudgingly, respect grew. But dangers remained. The Japanese syndicate made their move early, and Jennifer found herself in the middle of negotiations that turned violent. She was grazed by a bullet, and Wu Jin's fury was legendary. He retaliated with such force that the opposition immediately sued for peace. "No one threatens what's mine," he'd said coldly, and everyone knew he meant it. 6 months after the council meeting, Wu Jin surprised her. He took her to his grandmother's apartment, the place where they'd first truly been together. The rooftop had been transformed with lights and flowers. Jennifer's breath caught. "What is this?" He knelt, pulling out a ring. "I know our life is dangerous. I know we've done everything backwards. But I can't imagine any moment of any day without you. Marry me, not because the families expect it, because I need you like air." Tears streamed down Jennifer's face. Yes, God, yes. The ring slid onto her finger, perfect and permanent. They married in a small ceremony 3 months later. Some family members attended, others sent their blessing reluctantly. But Jennifer didn't care. Standing before Wu Jin, promising forever, she'd never felt more certain of anything. Their honeymoon was cut short by business, but they didn't mind. They'd learned to steal moments of peace whenever possible. And slowly, impossibly, they built a real life together. The penthouse felt like home now. Jennifer decorated it with color and warmth. Wu Jin smiled more, laughed more, seemed lighter. 8 months into marriage, Jennifer discovered she was pregnant. The news terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. She told Wu Jin that evening, watching fear and wonder war on his face. "We're having a baby," she confirmed. He sat down heavily. "A baby? Our baby. Are you happy?" she asked nervously. "Happy?" He looked up at her with eyes full of tears. "I'm terrified. But yes, so incredibly happy." The families were pleased. An heir meant stability. But Wu Jin and Jennifer didn't think about legacy or power. They thought about the life they were creating. A child who would know love, safety, choice. Everything they'd fought so hard to build. The pregnancy was difficult. Jennifer's body rebelled, and Wu Jin hovered constantly. She found it endearing and annoying in equal measure. "I'm not made of glass," she told him repeatedly. "You're carrying our miracle," he'd respond. "I can't help being protective." When labor started, Wu Jin was a mess. He barked orders at doctors, demanded the best care, held Jennifer's hand so tightly his knuckles went white. And when their daughter finally arrived, screaming and perfect, he wept openly. "She's beautiful," he breathed, holding the tiny bundle with infinite care. "She's perfect." Jennifer watched them through exhausted tears, heart so full it hurt. "Our daughter. Our family." They named her Minji, meaning clever and beautiful. She had Jennifer's eyes and Wu Jin's smile. From the moment she drew breath, she owned her father completely. The most dangerous man in Seoul became putty in his daughter's tiny hands. Jennifer would find him at 3 in the morning, walking the halls with Minji, singing softly in Korean. The organization adapted. Threats against Wu Jin's family were met with overwhelming retaliation. Everyone learned quickly that his wife and daughter were untouchable. Any enemy who tried found themselves destroyed. But Jennifer didn't want protection through fear. She wanted peace. So she pushed Wu Jin toward legitimate businesses, slowly transitioning the organization's focus. It was gradual, took years, but he listened. For her, for their daughter, for the future they wanted to build. 5 years after that desperate night, when Wu Jin had begged for just one night, they sat on the penthouse balcony watching their daughter play. The city sprawled below, no longer foreign but home. Jennifer leaned against Wu Jin's shoulder, his arms secure around her waist. "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked. "What? This life? This happiness?" He kissed her temple. "No. I'd stopped imagining any happiness at all. Until you." She turned to look at him. "Do you regret it? Begging for that one night?" His smile was soft. "That one night gave me forever. I'd beg 1,000 times for what we have." Jennifer kissed him deeply, still feeling that same spark that had ignited years ago. Minji called for them, and they broke apart laughing. Their daughter stood with arms outstretched, demanding attention. As Wu Jin swept Minji up, spinning her until she shrieked with joy, Jennifer felt peace settle deep. They'd fought impossible odds, faced death multiple times, defied expectations, and carved out something real from violence and danger. And they'd won. Not just survival, but genuine happiness. A family built on love instead of obligation. A future full of hope instead of fear. Wu Jin, once the loneliest man in Seoul, now had everything that mattered. And Jennifer, who'd arrived with nothing but determination, had found home in the most unexpected place. Their story wasn't conventional, but it was theirs, written in defiance and sealed with devotion. And that made all the difference. If you enjoyed the story, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment if you believe in true love.